Be brave enough to be bad at something new. Welcome back, guys. I'm super pumped and excited to chat with you this week. This week's quote, I said, be brave enough to be bad at something new. And so that's what I want to talk about is, the wins that you have and the losses that you have and the lessons that you learn in between. And so for me, I am a serial entrepreneur. We've talked about that. I'm never at a loss for a new idea or a new business or a new something, a service to offer people. And, a lot of people, I personally believe this, that a lot of people don't take the jump or leap into entrepreneurship because they're afraid. And I was afraid. I was afraid for many, many years. I'm so sad right now because if I had done this at 30, I would already have built my empire and I'd be sitting happy on an island somewhere with a cabana boy delivering me drinks all day. But I was a little tardy for the party, if you want to say. And I think that that's the fear of failure. And failure comes in a variety of ways. It could be that you feel, that you end a relationship and that feels like a failure. It can be that you launch something new and try something new and it doesn't quite pan out how you planned. That can feel like a failure. But for me, I, never am at a loss of ideas ever. So creativity is my jam. And I think that, that fear of failure prohibits a lot of us from really taking that leap. And so, have I failed? 100%. Am I going to fail again? Absolutely. It's going to happen. And so for me, I really wanted to talk to you guys about, when something doesn't pan out, like how bad does that feel? But how do you learn from that and grow from that and take that leap again and believe in yourself again? And so, there is a part of my businesses or some parts of it that haven't been as fruitful as others. And there's been things I've tried that didn't quite work out. But it's the lessons from those that are important. It's not the fact of if you succeeded or failed. It's what you gained from it, guys. And that's where I really want you to think about, what's the worst case scenario? What do I have to lose in the circumstance? Or what is that fear? And really pulling it back and saying, I'm not going to be fearful of failure. I'm going to learn if I fail, and I'm going to come back stronger and better than I was before it happened. And so there's things that I've wanted to try that I'm like, well, I won't do that again. Or, that I've learned that there was a different, a lesson out of it that I needed to learn that led me to something greater. And so if you don't try, you're never going to know. And I don't care if it's a failed marriage, because I've had a divorce in my life and it felt very much like a failure. Even when you want out of the divorce, if both people want out of the marriage, it doesn't feel good. It feels like you didn't win at something, you failed at it. And so many people and so many people that I come in contact with or that I even work with, they're afraid to try. And, you can't let that fear of failure prohibit you from chasing your wildest dreams and really going after and feeling passionate about what you're doing. And so, for me, I think that I have created businesses that I'm truly passionate about. And am I 100% certain that I'm going to have some failures along the way? Mm-hmm. I am. And am I 100% certain that I'm going to learn from them? I am. And so with that being said, I really want you guys to spend some time thinking about, what does success look like to you and what's keeping you from achieving it? And if it's the fear of failure, let's wipe that out. Let's get rid of it. Let's shrug it off and let's go for it and figure it out, because you have so much more to gain than you do to lose. And so, I don't want anyone to not chase a dream or not follow their heart, or, not think that they're capable of doing something because they're afraid and they're scared that they're going to fail. You're going to fail. We all fail on a daily basis, at something, and you can't win all the time. And so what you do with those failures is the key takeaway, and, learning from them. And I think it's always funny when I have some major project or something going on, and then, things go okay, or, you know, there's lessons that need to be learned. We call that a postmortem meeting. And it's kind of a funny word because it's like so final, right? You think postmortem, it's after death. Oh my God. You know, what does that mean? And, you know, it's not about the failure, guys. It's not. You're going to fail, and I fail. And it's what you do from the lessons that you learn from that failure. So don't be afraid, and don't not do something because you're too scared to fail, because you're really cheating yourself out of potential greatness. And that's what is really reading strong on my mind today, and that I wanted to share with you guys. And you know, I don't want to elaborate on all of my failures by any means, or bring them to light, but you know, I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have any, because I do. The important part of it is what you take, your takeaway from it. And so, you know, the pandemic has affected people in a variety of ways, and it was not a pleasant time for Monica Morgan. It wasn't a good time to be Monica Morgan during the pandemic. There was a lot of burden and a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and that comes with being an entrepreneur, and that comes with being, you know, being a business owner. You carried all of that weight on your own, and it's very stressful. And so during the pandemic, for me, I learned so much. I'm very introspective automatically, just naturally. That's who I am. But I was able to really look at, you know, the things coming out of the pandemic that really were kind of big stressors, that really was a fear of failure, and that I was constantly fighting to avoid. And I, you know, if I had a do-over, and in this case, hindsight really is 2020, I, you know, would know that I feel differently about it now. And I value those lessons that I learned. My husband and I, our communication and our relationship is so much stronger today than it was pre-pandemic. And it was strong then, but it's even stronger now. We just celebrated our 22nd anniversary on May 28th. And I'm proud to be able to say that. I did not grow up with a mom and dad that lived happily ever after together forever for 50 years. That wasn't something that happened for me. And so really being able to celebrate those milestones on my own with my husband, of our, you know, achieving that goal, and us looking forward to our 50-year anniversary, and knowing that we think we're going to get there, and that, you know, even through the hardships and the failures and the peaks, the pitfalls and the valleys, we were able to pull through. And, you know, I think a lot of that's due to communication. I think us spending so much time together during the pandemic lended itself to our ability to have insight, a further deeper insight to each other, and how we, you know, what does Monica's a day look like? My husband thought, you know, I get on the phone all day and I talk to clients, and I, you know, I'm not super active running around, where his was more physical and mine was more mental. And now he has a greater understanding of what does my day look like, and that mental stress, or just overuse of, you know, my brain is going 90 to nothing all day long for clients and individuals, and being creative and resourceful. And if I, you know, if I constantly were afraid and had fear of failing, I would achieve nothing. And so I've learned to really understand and appreciate and respect that failure is a part of it, and that you don't want to beat yourself up over it. You want to learn from it. And so that's really the message today for you guys, is that, you know, I would love to hear back from you all on something that you feel like you maybe failed at, and how you recovered, or what was the lesson that you learned. And I love watching Shark Tank. And this week, I know Damon posted on Insta, he said, you know, what's a lesson you learned? What's a failure you had and a lesson you learned from it? And I loved that he asked that question. And one of the things I'll share with you guys this week, it's more personal, is that during the pandemic, for whatever reason, my brain really was so honed in on keeping my team intact and keeping everyone employed. And it was to my own detriment, you know, and that's very personal. And, you know, I didn't put my family first. I didn't put myself first. And the lessons I've learned from that, you know, if I had a do-over, I would do it really different. And, it's not because it was a bad quality. I'm loyal to the core. So, you know, for me, it was about being loyal and providing for my immediate circle and my team what they needed. And I put myself last, and that wasn't necessarily healthy or helpful because I struggled. I had hives. I was more stressed out than I've ever been in my entire life, and my health took a toll. And so my husband was very alarmed. He said, you know, I've never seen you this way in 23 years. You've never, you know, been this stressed out, and you've never had hives, and you've never been, he was scared I was going to have a heart attack. And, you know, that's not fair to him. And I don't want that for him or him to worry or think through that. But I was afraid. I was afraid to fail. And by losing a team member, I felt like I would be failing. And that wasn't the case at all. And so with hindsight being 2020, and with, you know, the quote that I started with us today, I just want to say to you guys, it's okay. You know, give yourself some grace. And if you guys have things that have, you know, you've failed and you've learned something that was momentous, or that was something you could share or impart that wisdom on someone else, I want to encourage you to do that. So feel free to leave something in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. You know, if you're winning, I want to hear about your wins. And if you have a failure, but you learned something really valuable from it, I want to hear about that too. So, you know I talk to you guys each week. We release episodes each Wednesday. I look forward to coming and chatting with you guys about whatever epiphany I've had in the last 7 days and sharing my thoughts on it. And I hope that some of this is valuable and gets you guys to thinking about, you know, not just, you know, what if I fail? What if you win? Think about that. And we'll talk about that on a future episode as well. So again, I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a great week. I told you last episode I'm headed to Florida, and I will be in beautiful Fort Myers right outside of Naples. And I've heard that it's clean, beautiful beaches, and it's salty air, which really speaks to me and is my happy place. So I look forward to talking to you guys soon and about that. And again, if you would leave some items in the comments, I would really appreciate that. Or if there's any topics you want to hear my thoughts on, don't hesitate to say, Monica, on a future episode, we want to hear you talk about XYZ, because I'm a girl with a lot to say and I like to say it. So have a great week. I'll look forward to catching up with you guys next week from sunny Florida. And until then, go big or don't go. Hey guys, if you like this episode, please hit like and subscribe.